Welcome to today's episode, How to Real Estate. Today we are going to talk about winterization of the home. Now, I know it feels like it's a little late in the season to be talking about it, but honestly and truly, it's never too late. Because what happens is these are things that your buyer is going to see when they go to look at your home, possibly do an inspection on it, or when the appraiser comes out. So it's really important that you get in front of this. So even if you haven't taken care of it at this date, if your home is going to be on the market, then you really do need to check these items out. So let's talk about winterization. In general, you guys know about covering your faucets and making sure that you've got good insulation, but there's a lot of additional layers that you need to think about. If you have small cracks in your brick or in your sidewalk, these things are completely normal in our market just due to normal settling and what our Earth does here. Earth, the entire Earth, our Earth. What happens with our soil is there will be some settling and some movement. But by leaving those cracks open, when we have 6 inches of snow, then the water will get into those cracks, freeze, and expand those cracks and cause additional issues. So when you see cracks in the brick, cracks in the sidewalk, there are products that you can actually purchase, and it's a very simple thing. This is not something that you necessarily need a contractor for. What you would do is just go to our local Tahlequah lumber, ask for Leon, actually anyone there will be able to help you, and also at Lowe's, and let them know what the material is that you're trying to seal, and then they'll help you find the correct product to actually fill those cracks so that they are at this point just little tiny slivers and they don't become great big problems. And again, this is also on your porch, on your sidewalk, maybe even where the porch attaches to the home. Those are separately poured, and what that means is that when the foundation for the home is poured, the porch is not necessarily poured at that time. Poured being the concrete that's poured. Are you with me, Jill? Okay, she had this look on her face like, what are we talking about? So what happens is that you've got a slab of concrete for the home, and then later they pour the concrete for the home, and there is like a gap between, and sometimes water will settle in there and separate, and sometimes you'll have like an unlevel area. And buyers are concerned that that is a structural issue, whereas it's not really, because again, it's a separate pour, but it really could lead to a structural issue if it was not corrected and you continue to allow water to get in there and freeze and adjust. So any exterior cracks, you need to think about getting those sealed off. And again, it's not something you would necessarily need a contractor to do, but if you do need a contractor, make sure that you research and make sure that they're utilizing the correct material. You can't just use any material on brick and on concrete. Those are two different items. The next thing that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to winterization, gutters. Now, your gutters can cause so much damage to your home. If they fill with water and then that water freezes, they are not made to hold that amount of weight. They're made for the water to move out quickly and go away. So if you have not kept your gutters cleaned or the downspouts cleaned out and the water cannot drain out and it freezes in there, what will happen sometimes is the ice fingers, that's a thing, will actually go up underneath the shingles. It will actually injure the decking and then also all of your trim. And then in the worst case scenario, the weight will actually pull the gutter away from the trim and cause it to actually fall off and break. And I've actually seen it where it not only fell and caused damage to the trim, but it actually hit the side of the house and caused some damage to additional parts of the house. So gutters are something that a lot of people don't think about when you think of winterization. So make sure that your downspouts are clear and that the water can flow out easily. Obviously, if you can do rain guard or the guards over the gutters, that's probably one of the best, but it won't necessarily keep the water from freezing in there if you've got issues with the downspouts. So check those gutters. gutters. That's a big one. Something else that a lot of times that you don't think about is just in general weather stripping. Weather stripping is one of the least expensive items that can make one of the biggest differences in your heating bill, in how the inspections are perceived. And what I'm talking about on that is a lot of times we'll be standing in a home with a home inspector and he'll say something about the weather stripping or the door. And at that time, we all look over at the front door and you can see light right out the front door. That is an issue. You should not be able to see light through your front door unless there's a window. Also, sometimes with really extravagant doors that are solid wood, the wood will contract at this time when it's cold. And my personal door does it every year and it drives me nuts, but there will be a split in the wood where you can actually see outside, and that would go back to sealing that crack so that you don't have water intrusion or ice getting in there or just simply allowing cold weather. But typically what we're talking about is actually around the frame of the door, and weather stripping can be attached to the frame, and sometimes you'll even do weather stripping attached to the base of the door so that it moves with the door and it's even a tighter seal. But if you go and look at all of your exterior doors and you see any daylight, probably need to work on some weather stripping. The other area that we see that weather stripping makes a huge difference is on the garage door. If you are having issues with water intrusion in your garage, there's weather stripping that again goes around the garage door frame and gives you a nice tight seal so that the rain is not blowing in. But on the garage door base itself, they do come with the weather stripping, and it is not unusual for those to end up being damaged or just simply worn out, and that is allowing water intrusion in. So it's not necessarily that you have a major drainage problem, but if you've got like a west-facing door, weather stripping is crucial because the water hits that, runs down and then pulls at the base and will come inside. So check your weather stripping on all exterior doors and on the garage doors, and that can make a huge, huge difference for just the way the home is perceived as far as maintenance and upkeep, and it will actually help with your utility bills. Now, the utility bills are something that on average, I'm going to say 50 to 60% of all buyers ask, what are the average utility bills? And so these are ways that you can correct high utility bills that helps you while it's your home, and then also will make it more desirable to a buyer because you don't have these outstanding, huge, ridiculous bills. Now, the next item, this might be where you would want to hire a contractor, gaps around your windows. That's not as easily taken care of as weather stripping around doors and windows, or weather stripping around your doors and around the garage. So if you've got gaps in your windows or around the windows, that is maybe a little bit of an upgrade as opposed to you doing it. You might want to have a contractor come in and take a look at it. But again, it's the material that you're using to seal those gaps is really, really important. I recently went into a home and the homeowner had used the spray foam and it looked awful. It was this big, yeah, Jill's like, ugh. And it did the job for them, but it didn't look attractive at all. And so now he's got to go back and do some cleanup and make that a little bit better. Again, if you feel like you can do it, take the photos, do a little video, and go to your local lumber company or lumber store trusted person and ask them what materials they recommend, because what you cannot do is seal the window where it won't open. That's a big no-no when it comes to appraisals because that's a safety issue in the event of a fire. So we've already talked about drain hoses, spigot covers, external water shutoffs. All of these things are just kind of standard across the board, but did want to talk about ice buildup in the gutters and sealing your windows and all of that. Another thing that you can do at this time of the year is change your filters on your heater. You typically will change those prior to it getting cold, but now that we're halfway through the season, it's a good time to go ahead and change them again because you've kicked up dust that is in those ducts. And then if it's in the budget and your home is more than 20 years old, I do recommend that you also research about having the ducts cleaned, especially if they're floor ducts. It's amazing and actually kind of gross what all ends up in the ducts when they're in the floor. So it's a good idea. They'll run a camera through. They'll show you if you've got any issues. You could be having heat and air loss through those ducts, but typically it's just more of a cleanliness issue and just for your health and safety. So those are our ideas that you could take and do yourself to, again, make your home show better to potential buyers and help you while you can currently live there. As always, guys, we appreciate you watching. If you have any questions about real estate that you would like for us to discuss, please reach out and let us know. And please like, follow, and share. Thank you.